If you're single through the holiday season, should you consider a temporary plus one or seasonal relationship? I'm going to help you make the best decision for yourself in this conversation. Let me say from the beginning, this topic isn't for everyone. This is an empowered woman's guide to navigating holiday dating dynamics with discernment, dignity, and grace. If you're a single lady or just curious about seasonal relationships or cuffing season, be my guest to stay and learn about this cultural phenomenon.
Becoming the magnificently empowered, strong, and gracefully, with poise and elegance endlessly, I am who I was born to be.
Welcome to Becoming, Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment, where we explore living with purpose, grace, and confidence. I'm Sanesa Lusinger, your host, author, and transformation guide. This isn't just a podcast, it's a conversation, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Visit becomingpublishing.com to grab your free guide, Exquisitely Dealing with Stress, and join the conversation by leaving a comment. Now, let's dive into today's topic. Media, family, and workplace expectations often subtly or overtly push people, especially women, to show up with a partner during holidays, social events, or in certain social circles. During the holiday season, many social gatherings, including family dinners, office parties, and friend gatherings, are couple-centric. The implicit questions of, are you seeing someone, or where's your plus one, can feel like pressure. This is how the term cuffing season was born, and we have entered it. I talk about this in a chapter of the Royal Holiday Survival Guide, but here's what you need to know. Cuffing season refers to the time of year when it gets colder and people start looking for someone to spend the holidays and winter months with. It is a cultural phenomenon and not clinical. The term originated in internet slang, first appearing around 2011 on Urban Dictionary. John Mayer has a great song about this called St. Patrick's Day with the lyrics, "Here comes the cold, break out the winter clothes and find a love to call your own. Who knows what will be, but I'll make you this guarantee. See, no way November will say our goodbye. When it comes to December, it's obvious why. No one wants to be alone at Christmas time. Come January, we're frozen inside, making new resolutions 100 times. February, won't you be my Valentine? And we'll both be safe till St. Patrick's Day." I used to think this was just a guy thing, but I was hearing women in 2020 saying they just wanted a man for the winter months. The desire for companionship during colder months is sometimes magnified by cultural norms. Society tends to romanticize winter romance, characterized by cozy nights in, fireside dates, and romantic walks in the snow or among the Christmas lights. This can make singles feel like they're missing out on something. Clinically, people sometimes enter seasonal relationships as a coping mechanism for loneliness or emotional discomfort. Therapy Group of DC noted in a blog post that short-term relationships during cuffing season may be driven by a desire for emotional warmth and physical comfort in darker, colder months. While this season may have no strong biological foundation, psychological factors do contribute, including reduced daylight, seasonal affective mood shifts, social isolation in winter months, and holiday stress. In a 2022 Psychology Today post, Wendy L. Patrick explained that seasonal romances often emphasize physical attractiveness, sociability, and humor, traits that make someone a good date for holiday parties. In contrast, longer-term partner traits tend to include kindness, reliability, shared values, and emotional support. These types of connections remind me of at least one Hallmark Christmas movie where a successful, beautiful, single business owner agreed to accompany a rising attorney to social work functions during the holidays, and he reciprocated for her. As usual, they fell in love and are happily together at the end of the season and moving. I love happy endings. That's why I watch these movies. Yes, they're predictable, and that's why I watch. However, they're not realistic. The vast majority of any kind of relationship doesn't work out. They're not supposed to because you only need one partner. So how can you tell if a temporary relationship will turn into a long-term match? Coming up, we look at some research to gain more clarity of this topic and determine if it's an option for an elegant, empowered woman in the 21st century. If you're ready for more than just inspiration, if you want tailored, transformational support on your journey, visit becomingpublishing.com to explore my private coaching and guided programs. You don't have to do this alone. In full disclosure, I must admit that I have never been part of this type of connection. I actually had the opposite experience with men. They seemed all too happy to date me, but then they would disappear before my birthday in October and reappear about the time the flowers started blooming. They missed all the important to me parts of the year and left me all alone to wonder if they were still alive. Ghosting is a very real thing, ma'am. While the scientific research doesn't particularly talk about cuffing season or seasonal relationships, it does analyze a similar phenomenon called transient relationships. Much like seasonal relationships, they have a finite timeline, but are primarily conducted through text and phone calls. What's interesting about this type of connection and how it correlates to seasonal relationships is that there are predictors of if it could have long-term implications. A study published in 2023 by Cornell University on transient relationships found that early communication volume predicts relationship longevity. This means if the man texts or communicates a lot early on, that relationship has better odds of lasting. Another clue that your seasonal relationship could turn into a long-term relationship is when the man sees or communicates with you. The same Cornell University study found that many weekend-heavy connections and communications tend to last longer than weekday-only ones. If he's texting or calling you during the week, then turning into Casper the unfriendly ghost on the weekends, it's a sign that relationship won't last. When I was in the dating world, this happened to me a lot. I made a very hard boundary that if a guy wouldn't ask me out on a Friday or Saturday night, I stopped talking to him. I would occasionally accept weeknight invitations, but if a weekend date did not follow, I dismissed them and put them on the do not answer list. So, should you bend to societal pressure and consider a seasonal relationship? We'll dive deep into this question next. Gratitude season is in full swing, and this episode is brought to you by Becoming Grateful, the Elegant Woman's 45-Day Gratitude Experience, a 3-tier guided experience designed for women ready to reclaim joy, peace, and emotional wealth. Whether you want to journal at your own pace, listen on the go, or dive into a private breakthrough session, there's a path for you. Visit becomingpublishing.com to learn more or tap the link in the show notes. For a limited time only, use coupon code podcast10 at checkout for $10 off the self-guided gratitude journal experience. Given all the information I've shared with you, you may be wondering if you should line up a seasonal connection for holiday events. If you're a quality, high-value woman, the answer is probably no. Not if it means sacrificing your dignity, self-worth, or clarity of intention. Does a seasonal relationship align with the values of a high-worth woman? It can, if entered intentionally, clearly, and with emotional sovereignty. But often, it collides with deeper values. Like I said, I never willingly participated in this type of connection when I was in the dating scene because I was marriage-minded and looking for my perfect partner. I was very upfront about this. I valued myself and what I had to offer a relationship. I also wasn't afraid to go it alone. There are always alternatives to taking a date to events. You can attend solo with a mindset of presence and self-possession. You can also take platonic friends as your plus ones. The very real alternative of owning the room solo could be a valuable option for any single, elegant, and empowered woman. Walking in alone can be one of the most powerful statements you can make. It gives you the opportunity to practice being beautiful in your own space, talking to people confidently, and building magnetic energy from within. It allows you to create connection on your own terms. When people approach you, let the interaction unfold. You don't have to chase. And if you're a feminine energy woman, you should never chase at all. But that's another topic for another episode. Here's one more thing to ponder. Sometimes not taking a date speaks more about your self-respect than any plus one ever could. It is possible to be happily single during cuffing season and still shine. You do this by cultivating your rituals, investing in friendships, amplifying your presence, and showing up fully as you. Now, if this type of arrangement is something you're looking for, you should be very clear about that with anyone you date. They should also be clear about it with you if that's what they're interested in doing. There's nothing wrong with a short-term agreement of any kind if and only if both parties agree to it. If you do enter a seasonal relationship, it's imperative to make sure it aligns with your values, not the pressure. It's also important to be intentional about your presence and boundaries so that you don't feel compelled into something inauthentic. If you do choose to participate in a seasonal connection, it's important to have reasonable expectations and clear communication. Clarify in advance what kind of role this person is playing, such as being a companion for a set number of events or intended deeper connection. Don't assume a deeper commitment will follow after the season is over. Ask yourself, what image am I projecting? If you show up with someone whose character or presence doesn't match your values, it can undermine your brand and boundaries. Protecting your heart and reputation should be a priority for you. Maintain emotional guardrails. Don't emotionally overinvest until you verify alignment. Observe how he treats you publicly, how respectful he is of boundaries, and how consistent his behavior is. Like it or not, the person you choose as a plus one communicates something about you. When making a decision of who to partner up with during the season, you should consider if he is reflective of your standards or if he lowers them. Just because a man is handsome doesn't mean he's a good person or even a good match for you, seasonally or long term. At this point, I must caution you about something. If you're starting to fall for someone who has made it clear that he only wants someone short term or wants something casual and you want a long-term commitment, do not under any circumstances continue seeing this person if you're not willing to see this person walk away once the weather warms up. I know many women think they can change a man's mind, but that is a fantasy. It's Hollywood's smoke, mirrors, and illusions. I can hear some of you right now saying, but if he sees how great I am, all I have to offer him, and how much better his life is with me in it, he will change his mind. Nope, he won't. Trust me when I tell you. You can be the most wonderful, loving, caring, considerate, kind, virtuous, incredible person on the planet, and it still won't be enough to change a man's mind. I don't say this to hurt your feelings or discourage you. I say it because it's the truth, and I want to set you up for success rather than failure. It is always possible for people to change. I work with clients all the time who make those radical changes, but it isn't easy and it takes time. Most people aren't willing to put in the hard work to make it happen, or they give up when the process becomes hard. It usually does involve some hardship because true transformation involves some form of pain during the process. What is most likely to happen is that one person will fall in love while the other is headed for the door and looking for the next person to be with. If you are the one who fell in love when your heart is broken and you're ugly crying and begging him to stay, he'll tell you, "You knew what I wanted from the very beginning. I told you this was temporary." At this point, you'll have to take responsibility for your actions, let him go, and hire me to coach you on the no contact rule. Now, you can avoid this whole hurt and pain scenario by being very clear, first with yourself, next with others, about what you really want for your life. Then you can be empowered to make the best decisions for yourself. When establishing these boundaries or relationship rules, it's important to address what type of behavior you expect, such as opening doors for you, paying for meals, etc. You should also address if physical contact is acceptable and in what forms. Putting everything out on the table before you agree to anything is the best way to proceed in any kind of contract or agreement. This will allow both parties to know what the rules are and how to conduct themselves. If you need to renegotiate during the process, that is perfectly fine and should be stated during the initial agreements. I would caution you against allowing kissing and physical intimacy until it has been established that the connection no longer has an expiration date. While it may feel like you're cutting yourself off from this potential in the beginning, it is the best way to guard your heart from intense heartbreak when the clock strikes midnight and your relationship disappears. Now let's talk about some red flags disguised as festive companionship. Signs that a seasonal romance is more about convenience than depth include: he only makes contact when it's convenient, like on weekdays, evening texts, or at holiday events. He's all business during these interactions, and you know very little about him. He avoids deeper conversations about values, the future, or emotional topics. He resists commitment or clarity. His presence seems transactional, as if he was borrowed for the season. He shows inconsistency, emotional withdrawal, or vanishes when things get real. A wise woman would ask, is this person enriching me, or is he filling a gap temporarily? Some men are very good at appearing like they could possibly want a long-term commitment, and some of them will tell you this. However, if any of these red flags or slight hints of them are present, you can safely assume that he may want a serious relationship, just not with you. If you're serious about finding a long-term partner, you need to be very clear about this from the beginning with anyone you date. I will say it over and over and over again. It is so important. It's imperative that you firmly set that boundary into place and enforce it. Trust me when I tell you that some men will try to convince you that you really don't want a committed relationship, or that a short-term casual connection could someday turn into a long-term relationship if the sex is good. Don't believe it. If you're old enough to comprehend what I'm saying, then you're too old to believe in fairy tales or pipe dreams. Knowing yourself and what you want is the only way to set boundaries and attract your desires. You can protect your heart and values with a temporary connection by staying rooted in self-love, keeping your center independent, and not surrendering your standards. It's vitally important to set and enforce boundaries during a process like this. Your standards don't have to drop with the temperature or any type of relationship, and they shouldn't. Your worth does not go seasonally dim. You can stay a high standard, high quality woman even when facing social or emotional pressures. Know your deal breakers. Be realistic about a connection like this. Don't expect flowers and dates outside the agreed upon events. And always remember this connection has an expiration date. In most cases, this type of arrangement is one of convenience, which is a low investment, sporadic, and functional one. In contrast, a connection is aligned, reciprocal, and emotionally invested. You are powerful, and you have great instincts. You will know when it's time to leave a connection, when the emotional cost outweighs the benefits, and when a man can't or won't meet your minimums, and when brilliance begins to dim instead of grow. So if you've decided to go into a short-term seasonal relationship, I want to hear all about this experience for you. I also want to hear if you've had one of these arrangements in the past and how it went. You can comment here or email me at info@becomingpublishing.com. I'm not saying that you can't have a fabulous time in a seasonal connection, nor am I telling you that the only way to be empowered is to go it alone. What I am saying is that you have options. You can make either choice a fantastic experience. To ensure success in a seasonal situation, be upfront about it with your participants, enjoy the time you spend together, and expect it to be over around St. Patrick's Day. Whether paired up or going solo, you can let your magnificence shine this holiday season, girl. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Becoming, Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment. Was there something in this episode that resonated with you? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're ready to take your personal growth to the next level, visit becomingpublishing.com to explore my exclusive coaching programs and resources tailored for ambitious women like you. There you can also download your free guide, Exquisitely Dealing with Stress. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who's ready to create the magnificent life and relationships they truly deserve. Until next time, stay elegant, stay empowered.
Becoming